everyone, in this tutorial I'm going to be using some smart iron-on, two different colors, to put a little design on these little cute shoes. So I'm going to actually be using the Cricut Joy, and I'm going to be layering some iron-on, and I'm going to actually use the little mini Easy Press to place this little design on the shoes. So the things I'll be using are obviously the Cricut Joy. I'm going to be using two different colors of smart iron-on. This first color is the blush, and then this is the white glitter. So they're both really pretty, I think. And then I'm also going to be using a measuring tape just to measure out the space I have to work with. And then a weeding tool and scissors. I have a little dish towel just to place inside my shoe to help give a little bit of buffer so I can iron on the design. And it'll just kind of build up that area so I have a little bit of a firm space to work with. And then some heat resistant tape is probably going to help with keeping my design positioned accordingly on the shoe while I get it ironed on. And then of course the Mini Easy Press. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly just measure. I'm really wanting to make sure I know how much space I have to work with right up here. So I have about 2 inches between of material between where it stops, and then I have about 3 inches to work with. So let's hop into Cricut Design Space, and I'm going to show you the design I have and how I'm going to get it all cut out and placed on these cute little shoes. So I'm going to be putting a little bunny image on these little shoes. So I'm going to come over to the image button, and I'm going to just type in bunny into the search bar. And a lot of results will pop up, so you can just scroll through and see what fits best for your project. I particularly like this little one right here, so I'm going to select it and insert my images. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I will go ahead and just make this a lot bigger so we can see it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to size this. So I think I'm going to have it be about, let's see, and I unlocked it so that I could just make it the exact size I want. If you keep it unlocked, then you can only size it this way. So I want to be able to size my height and my width. So I'm going to have my width be at about 1.34, and then my height, let's say about 1.75, maybe a little shy. Okay, that looks really good. Okay, so that is the size I like it. I'm at about 1.3 by 1.7, so I'll go ahead and lock that back up. And now I can go ahead and get my colors colored accordingly. So I'm going to make the little ears pink and the little nose pink, and then I'm going to use that glitter iron-on, so it'll be the white for the little background. I think that will be really pretty on those blue shoes. So now I do need 2, so I'm going to come up here to the layers panel, and up here you're going to see a button called duplicate, and I'm just going to click that, and then I have 2 of the same images that are sized exactly the same. So now I'm going to come up here and select Cricut Joy, and then everything is ready to go. I will go ahead and click Make It, and we are actually going to do without a mat because I have smart materials, so I'll click that option and click Done, and then I'm going to click Mirror on both of my mats here. Now for this project it doesn't really matter because these little bunnies they're pretty much the same whether you mirror them or not, but you should be always mirroring your image anyway, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that whenever working with iron-on. You always want to mirror it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click continue now that mirror is turned on both of them, and I'm just going to make sure I have enough space in between to just do a little slice. So sometimes I like to drag my little design apart there. So I'm going to click continue, and then it's going to locate my Joy. So for my first material, the white is going to go through first, and that is the glitter. So I'm going to browse all materials, and I am going to say Smart Iron-On Glitter. Now when it's time to feed the pink through, I do need to come back in here and just select Smart Iron-On. So I want to make sure I do change that because it is a different setting. So Smart Iron-On Glitter will be for the white, and then Smart Iron-On will be for the pink. So I'll go ahead and select Done. I'm going to use default pressure, so that's just fine. And now we will go ahead and load our material into the machine and get everything cut out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get ready to load the glitter first. So I'm going to pull it out of the box. And then it does remind us with the glitter iron-on and iron-on that you are going to place it shiny side or face side down. So we are going to see our iron-on here, and we're going to see that it's kind of hard to see on camera, but this is the glitter side, and then this is the plain white side. So we are going to flip this over and put it glitter side down, and we'll just load that into the machine. So it's going to pull it in and make sure we have enough material and that everything is aligned, and then we can go ahead and click go on the computer, and it's going to make those cuts. So it's going to be really fast because that's a very simple design to cut. It's pretty much an outline and a couple little things inside. So while that's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and preheat the little mini Easy Press. I'm just going to turn it on, and I'm going to preheat that to medium. Okay, so that one is already complete. I can go ahead and click unload, and I'll set that to the side, and now the pink piece will come up, and we will do that. So again, we're going to do shiny side down, and again, we are going to go back into Cricut Design Space, and we are going to just select Smart Iron-On as our setting. So again, shiny side down. As you can see, one side is more shiny than the other, and we will just feed that through the machine. That will load. And now we can go ahead and cut it. So while that is cutting, we can go ahead and get this all weeded. So I'm just going to cut off my extras. And then I have a bunch that I can obviously save for another project. So I just like to roll mine up and put it right back in the box. That way it keeps track of all of my colors for me, and I know what is what. Okay, this one is done as well, so I will just go and grab those little designs off of here too. Okay, so now I'm just going to start weeding out my design. So I'm going to weed out the little bunnies first. So I have it still turned over, and I'm going to just pull and remove all of the extra pieces that I do not want. And you can refer to Design Space if you need to. So that you know what you need to weed out and what needs to stay in the design. Sometimes that can be helpful. So I'm just going to take away the surrounding area first, all that background. Some of those little insides of the ears are coming out just perfectly, and so I have my scrap pieces, and then I'm just going to go through and weed out the middles. So I have that, and then I have the eyes and the nose on each one. So I'm going to gently grab those. Okay. And those little eyes are just teeny tiny, but they cut perfectly. And they look great, and they're weeding really nice. So I have them just like that. So really, really small little pieces, but the cut was just perfect. I think this size is going to look really good on these shoes as well. So really quick cut, really quick weeding, and hopefully really quick application onto the shoe. Okay, so here are the little bunnies. They look really cute. And then we're going to really quickly weed out the ears and the nose pieces. So again, the shiny side is still face down, and we're just going to grab a little corner right like that and pull. And that just is going to remove all of the background area. And you can save and keep some of this if you want to reuse it. It's a fairly small piece. I'm not sure I have quite a need for that, so I'm okay with letting that go and parting with it. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and just trim between my designs so that I have two separate ones on each one. So I'm just going to trim not only in between but around, just to get some of that extra carrier sheet off. Okay, so now I have all my little pieces. I'm going to probably just set them over here on the Joy just so I can keep track of them. And I'm going to go ahead and just pull, and it's not lost on me that there's a bunny towel with a bunny project, but that is just what we had. So I'm just going to kind of roll this and place it inside one of the shoes just to build up the inside so it's not hollow. That way I have something more firm to work with there. So I'm just building that up. And now it's, oh, that works really good. Okay, so that's perfect. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start layering, and I'll use my heat resistant tape just to help kind of get everything placed. So I'm gonna put one right here. I think that looks really good. I think that size looks really sweet too. So I'm just gonna grab, I think 2 slices probably of this. And because there's a little bit of a curve with the shoe this way, I'm gonna put my tape on the sides instead of on the top and bottom, just to kind of help keep it laying down. Okay, just right there. Make sure it's centered first. I think that looks good. Okay, so I have my tape down. So what I'm going to do is I am going to use my Mini Easy Press, and I'm going to use it on the medium setting. I'm going to try that and use constant pressure and light movement, and I'm going to do it for about 15 seconds. And then this is going to be a cool peel. So I'm going to go ahead and let me make sure that the glitter is a cool peel as well. I'm just on the heat guide. Okay, so I'm just going to be very mindful that I don't touch the rubber part. So I'm going to keep that in mind. It might even be helpful to do it this way so that I can visually see right there where I'm pressing. So I'm just going to grab my shoe just like that. Whoops, a little piece of tape came off. Let's see, there we go. Okay, and being careful of my fingers too. And I'm just going to start pressing. So I'm going to do about 15 seconds. And I'm just going to do it a little bit of constant movement around there, making sure I really press down. It does say light pressure, actually. So then I'm going to move up to the ears for a little bit, get those really down. Once you have the press on the design, it's okay if the tape kind of wants to come up on the sides. So my design is not quite down yet, I can see, so I'm just still pressing. I'm beyond 15 seconds, I believe, but I'm just seeing a little bit of lifting still, so I'm going to continue pressing. And the great thing about the Mini Easy Press is if you have any areas that are not laying down, you can do a focused press in those areas to make sure that you're giving a little bit more focused attention in the area that is not quite ready to lay down yet. So I'm just going over the edges again because they were lifting a little bit. So I noticed under there it was just continuously lifting, so I just kept kind of rotating around. And now I think it looks really good. So I'm going to set that to the side and start on the other one because that is a cool peel. So we're going to just let it sit and make sure, then we'll check it and make sure everything is laid down. So we're going to do the exact same for this side. I'm going to grab a couple pieces of heat resistant tape. Okay, and then I'm going to line up my shoes here so that I can make sure that they match, just so. Okay. Okay, and because I'm still using that little dish towel in the other one, while I start this one, I just went and grabbed another dish towel, so I have 2, because we still need to do another layer on that, so we will just use another dish towel and be able to start the second one while this is cooling. So that's cooling pretty well, so we'll be able to peel that pretty soon. Okay, so I have a firm surface to work with under there, and it looks good. So again, I have it set to medium, and I'm just going to, I found it easier to flip the shoe over just so I could really monitor that section up here. It's just easier for my eye to watch and make sure I don't get that with my iron. So I'm just doing constant movement, light pressure. I actually tend to be using kind of medium pressure on this just to help those pieces lay down. And if you notice any areas, again, that are not laying down, you can do a focused little press in those areas. For a while there, I didn't think it was going to lay down, but then I just kind of kept pressing and was patient, and then it was laying down. So, okay, so that's looking pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and stop and let that cool. And I'm going to check on my other one. And that's pretty cool. It's a little warm, but I'm just going to check real quick. And it looks pretty good, but I still have one side right here that is still lifting a little bit. So I'm going to place my little sheet right back over it. And let me just double check everything else. Everything else seems to be down though. So it's just this little edge. So I'm just going to grab my little press again, and I will just do a focused little press in that little side there. So that's one great thing about the Mini, is you can just really focus on a certain area if it's giving you a little bit of trouble. So I'm just going to go in, I tend to go in small circles in the area. Okay, let's see how that works. Okay, and it looks to be laid down now, so I'll keep an eye on that and make sure it stays that way. The glitter is really cute on that. I hope you guys can see that. It's so sweet. It's just so subtle and just adds a little bit of something. Okay, so now what I can do is I'm going to grab my little iron-on piece, and I'm going to just place it right in the middle there. And I'll reuse my tape from my other sheet. Now I don't want to touch the iron to the glitter that is exposed now, because now there's nothing on top of that glitter, but in certain areas there is. So where this sheet is, oh, that keeps popping off. So I'm just going to be mindful. So that sheet actually does cover a lot of the glitter iron-on, so I'll be just fine. But you want to just make sure you monitor that and you don't touch your iron to exposed HTV. Make sure it's covered. And I'm going to do it this way again, just so I can watch that little. I have just a tiny bit of exposed HTV right here, so I want to make sure I don't touch that. Okay, and then I will just go ahead and press for the 15 seconds again, and I can just do a little focus pressed on the little nose and the ears. Okay, so just going in small little circles around the ears and around, here's not quite down yet, to build this piece up just a little bit more with my hand, I think. There we go. I think the nose is down, but the ears are not quite there yet. Okay, so one of the ears is down and one is still not quite there. So I'm just going to reposition that and do a really focused press on this one side. Okay. Okay, so I finally got the little ears down. That took quite a while, actually. It was being really stubborn, so that required a lot of patience. So I'm going to go ahead. This one is completely cool, and I'm going to peel that up, and it looks pretty good. I think I have a little bit, ooh, I do have a little bit of lifting on each side, but the ears look like they're down. So again, I will just lay this back over, and I will give a little bit of extra attention to the sides here. So I'm honestly finding that this is really stubborn going down, so it's taking a lot longer than the 15 seconds of pressing. I'm doing it for a lot longer. So just know that going into it if you decide to try this as well. I'm also using, I think I used the cotton setting on my heat guide, and then I also did the cotton poly blend because it wouldn't give me a heat setting on cotton canvas. So I'm just trying a couple different settings. Again, everything is saying that medium temperature, so. But it's always just fun to try and see if you can get things to work. So that was my goal with this. Now, and I'll just, again, I'll keep an eye on that. So now let me check this one as well. Those look pretty good, and those sides are down, so that looks great. Okay, so here's the final little one on this shoe. How cute. I love the pink, and the pink matches really well with the inside of the shoe and the little sides. So sweet. Okay, so now I'm going to, again, reuse my heat-resistant tape to place the little nose and ears. And I found it easiest, I'll show you in this one. I was kind of learning as I go. These are my first pair of shoes, so it was a learning process this morning. Oops. I also think it's kind of easier because this iron-on, the Smart Iron-On, has really thick carrier sheet because it serves as the cutting mat. So it kind of is hard to get it to curve on this shoe because it's really thick. So if you need to cut your pieces apart, like your nose and if you need to cut in the middle and cut between the nose and the bunny ears, that might work too. So I'm going to go and do that little nose first. And being careful that you don't burn yourself. I have burnt myself a couple times on this project with the little mini. So just be careful and note where your fingers are. So I'm just doing a little focus press on the nose really quick to get that one down. And then I can come up here to the ears, and I found it was kind of easiest to get my hand under and in where, under the actual towel, so of course my fingers are protected, but just to build it up even more. And then I kind of just did this rocking motion on my other one, and it seemed to work a little bit better because my pieces were kind of slipping if I was moving it with the constant movement. So I just kind of did this rocking motion, and it seemed to keep the pieces a little bit better in place. Okay, so this one is done as well, and I can just remove my little sheet from the top. And one of my ears slipped just a little bit and got a little close, but that's okay. I think it turned out really good for my first time doing shoes. It's a little bit tricky on a curved surface, but that is why it's really nice to have the mini, because it's small so that you can avoid problem areas like the little rubber, so don't forget to do that. But it's nice because you can work on a curved surface much easier than if you are using a larger Easypress. So I think these turned out good. So a couple things to remember: it does take a little longer than the 15 seconds of pressing. I would say I did it for much longer than that. I can't even remember, but I just kind of kept going around and monitoring my areas to make sure that they were laying down like I wanted them to. And again, with the Easypress Mini, you can do focus presses in areas that, you know, were kind of lifting. So I think these turned out really, really sweet, and I think that my toddler is going to love them. So if you enjoyed this, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, and I'd love it if you would subscribe because we're going to be doing a lot of fun things this summer, and I don't want you to miss out. All right, everyone, have a wonderful week, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.